all know Milind sir. He is practicing as a consulting engineer for last 35 years in Mumbai. He has already presented us many things regarding codal provisions for IS code and also design principles. Now today I request him to proceed with his presentation and shed light on so many things regarding ferrocement, codal provisions, and structural provisions about the ferrocement.
On the onset, let me inform you that today's presentation is a simple case study of a check dam that is made in masonry, that is being repaired, restored, and rehabilitated. Since everybody was in the mood of making presentations and case studies, I think nobody was very keen to go into the academics part of it. So I also chose to make a case study. That case study highlights the two things basically. One is the technical aspects and the social impact. So this is a simple village check dam, but the village was not simple. It was a small hamlet, and it was completely out of bounds. It is completely out of bounds from the otherwise population. It was on a plateau. It is on a plateau on the Bombay Nasik highway in the Kasara Ghats, and it is completely away from any habitation, and a dusty winding ghat road is there to go to this small hamlet which houses maybe 300 or 400 people, and they had no other source of water, and water was coming to them from the government by tankers. So this was the background. So they were completely dependent on tankers because they had a check dam which was 1 kilometer away from the village, and it was damaged due to logs of wood hitting the check dam, which was a masonry check dam, and it got damaged, and hence no water could be stored. And this was happening for almost 8 years. So they were relying completely on all the months for tanker water to help them out. It was a very sad situation. And that place is hardly 80 kilometers from Mumbai, where the rainfall is extremely high, almost 2,500 millimeters per year, or maybe 3,000 millimeters per year. In spite of that rainfall, there was not a single drop of water for them to drink or for sanitation. With this background, I will start the name of the village is Mar village in district Kasara, Maharashtra, India. And the location is Mar. The project sponsors for the execution were the Rotary Club of Parleshwar, Mumbai, and Blue Cross Laboratories at Nasik. I was the consultant, and of course the site engineer also, and the project manager also, and the laborer also for this project. So I was all rolled into one. And the main contractors, of course, were Sustainable Green Solutions, two of my engineers who have worked with me in ferrocement and who have been with me for 20 years now, Sudhir Reddy and Sudhir Kokane. Next slide. So Mar village is a small Adivasi hamlet located on a plateau in the Kasara Ghat of the Mumbai-Nasik highway and completely disconnected with the mainland. Access to the village is through a winding ghat road. There is no electricity, water, except for drinking water supply by tankers and water for cattle in the form of small muddy collection pits upstream of a damaged check dam. Next. The existing damaged check dam is of 5 meters height and 30 meters long, made of UCR masonry about 20 years back. It was completely broken. Damaged, and was in a dilapidated condition during the first inspection that we went to see the dam. On account of this, no water could be stored upstream of the dam, leading to all year round drinking water crisis for the village people and also for the cattle. You can imagine they were completely marooned on a plateau, and they had to completely rely on the government tankers for their personal drinking needs and for their cattle also. Next. So the proposed repair, restoration, retrofitting and waterproofing scheme. This might look a little simple, but as Lele sir said, I will tell you the design background also. The entire dam, I will first make the presentation and then show you the photographs. The entire dam wall was cleaned of lot of muck, and that was on both the upstream and the downstream side of the existing UCR masonry wall. The desilting of the sand and murum on the upstream side was done by downloading an excavator, which was extremely difficult. Unfortunately, I do not have a photo. I have misplaced it. It was a very challenging task because the village itself is about 12 kilometers up a winding ghat from the main highway road, and this stream is 1 kilometer away from the village. And to take the excavator there was very difficult. One of the contractors, road contractors, helped us out and helped the village people by doing the work on cost basis only. So that was the background. The damaged UCR masonry wall was reconstructed by using local basaltic stone that was available there. Most of it was available at the site itself. The height of the dam was also raised by 0.6 meters, that is 2 feet, after design was cross-checked and found feasible and safe. Next. The ferrocement lining. We chose to fix one layer of weld mesh of 100 by 12 gauge and two layers of chicken meshes 12 by 24 gauge on the upstream side and also on the central 6-meter section of the downstream side, including the top walkway portion. This was because this central 6-meter portion was very badly damaged, so we wanted to strengthen it also. Special waterproof polymer modified cement mortar in ratio 1:2.5 was prepared and filled in the meshes by press and fill method. The polymers were selected to ensure higher abrasion and impact strength of the mortar. Now, the abrasion strength of the mortar was increased by using nylon fibers. Very few people are aware that nylon fibers earlier used to be used for machine floors or automotive floors or industrial floors. I myself used them for almost 10 years. Now they are not available. They are 3 mm and 6 mm and 12 mm strands of waste nylon that is recycled and used in concrete or mortar. I have used them, these nylon fibers, from a very rare source in Mumbai, and they arranged to give it to me because it was a social work. They managed to cut the fibers in 3 mm strand pieces and put them in the mortar at about 250 grams per bag of cement. Now, this was required because in the rainy season, the logs and the debris used to come and hit the main UCR wall, check dam, and that is why the check dam was damaged. So impact was very high, and we knew that in future also, after constructing the dam, the impact will be very high. So this was a big challenge, and we were actually worried whether this solution will work. Finally, a dash coat of waterproof putty 5 to 10 mm thick to ensure line and level and finish was done. Curing of the work was done using muddy water that was available. No potable water was available. The entire area was full of snakes and scorpions. So the local villagers itself were the people who could come there and work under instructions. They were trained in the village for 2 days, and the masons and fitters were found out, and they were the main people. And we had about 15 young men from the village who volunteered, and later 5 more. So 20 people were working at any given time as a free service for their village. So potable water was very scarce, and hence specialized silicate-based curing compounds were used after 2 days of curing with potable water, but that water was not potable. It was actually muddy water. Next. Some salient features. Please understand the salient features because the work commenced on May 5th, 2017. May 5th, 2017. And in Kasara Ghat, in that area, the rains are very heavy, and the pre-monsoon showers come by the end of May very surely. So we had very, very little time. On May 5th, we started the work and completed the work on May 28th. So we had just 23 or 24 days, almost just about 3 weeks, 23 days. The check dam was about 1 kilometer from the main village. I've already highlighted that. The total cost was rupees 9,90,000, and it was sponsored by the Rotary Club of Parleshwar, Vileparle, Mumbai. The entire catchment was filled. Very luckily, on the 29th it rained. On the 30th it rained very heavily. The pre-monsoon showers came in a big way, and the entire check dam was fully filled, and it started overflowing on the 30th May evening itself. So it was a very, very challenging work, very time bound, and the rains came in, and the entire catchment was completely filled. Approximately 24 lakh liters plus I have written because I could not calculate how to calculate the catchment area because it was very vast and very difficult to calculate. But on a thumb rule basis with some additional calculations, we found that almost 24 lakh liters of water was stored in the catchment after filling of the check dam. The exact calculation is not available because of the difficult task to do it. Next, I will show you the photographs now. This was the check dam. This was the original check dam, and the central portion was completely damaged because at when the check dam started getting filled, logs, the logs and the debris and all the material, such as rolling stones, etc., used to come and hit the bottom. So the bottom was also damaged, but the top was more damaged and it could not sustain the impact of the logs, and the thickness at the top was very less. So it was giving way, and finally it broke down. This was the situation when we visited the site the first time. Next. So there was muddy water there, and this water, instead of the villagers being using it for drinking water, the cattle used to come there and drink the water there. This was a big problem, and the villagers were wanting the entire area to be desilted and cleaned so that there is no contamination of the cattle and the people drinking the same water. Next. So for the first thing that we did was we repaired the damaged section using the local basaltic stone and the masons from the village, and they were trained and they were repaired. The dam was completely repaired first, simply repaired with polymer mortar as the grouting material and for the joints. Next, desilting work. This was the desilting work that was going on, and actually a pokelin was, it was very difficult to lower a pokelin and get the desilting done. But that person who did it was also a great artist, and he managed to desilt the entire area to a very large extent parallelly in 2020 in 3 weeks, and the entire area was completely desilted upstream also, and put on the banks on either side. Next. So this is the way to remove the muck that was there on the walls of the existing UCR dam. Next. Now this was the fixing of the weld mesh and chicken meshes that was done. The rolls, so if you see the weld mesh and chicken mesh rolls are there. The local villagers were trained. A sample demonstration was done earlier, and then they were trained to do it. Our supervisors were there. I used to go very regularly there every second day, third day from Mumbai, and then the whole day I used to be there. So this was how they started the work. Next. This is a weld mesh that was nailed to the joint, to the UCR masonry wall, but at the junction of the joints, wherever there was mortar filled at the joints of the masonry wall, there the nails were anchored, and this weld mesh was first fixed, and then the chicken mesh. Next. Then enhancing the fixity of the weld mesh by applying mortar at various locations. Since the length of the wall was 30 meters, it was difficult to tighten and the chicken mesh. So chicken mesh was tightened at local places, and mortar was applied to hold it temporarily till final press and fill method was done. Next. Fixing of the chicken mesh from the top of the dam wall. This was done by rolling. The entire rolls were lowered down from the top and then tightened from bottom. And further to that, upstream side, there was an apron also that was made to ensure that there is no leakage of water from the upstream side to the downstream side from below the UCR masonry wall. Next. So this is how the work was being done. And there were a lot of labor who were there. Actually, they were on the downstream side also. I'll show you that. Next. So this was the first press and fill work done. First part of it was done. Next, the entire press and fill in the first part was done completely. Next, and then the finishing mortar with polymeric putty was done. Cementitious acrylic polymeric putty was used and not plaster. The putty was more than 5 to 7 or maybe sometimes even 10 millimeters in some places, but there was no choice because the alignment of the dam was very difficult. The repair work was also not aligned properly, so we had to end up at 10 millimeters of putty in 2 or 3 layers to ensure the entire putty is finished. Nylon fiber was of course added in the mortar itself and even also in the putty because the putty was becoming very thick. So on the upstream side, an apron was also made, and the apron was also laid with weld mesh and chicken meshes and finished with press and fill method. Next. So this was the work of the apron finishing work of the upstream side. Next. This is the downstream side. It was damaged, but we decided not to do any ferrocement lining because there was no budget. And we just ensured that the entire thing was re-lined, everything. All the joints were properly filled with press and with polymer modified mortar, and they were completely sealed at the downstream side, back side of the wall. Next. One of the most important thing that was required was we had to provide two pipes to dewater the upstream side because the villagers were wanting to have a shutdown every May. They were very enthusiastic. They said that they wanted to take a shutdown every May and desilt the entire area so that the storage capacity increases. So this was a very Herculean task. There was a masonry wall. There was a small opening. We managed to somehow put these two pipes and valves and everything on the other side. Two numbers, 150 dia. And this is the check dam that was overflowing after the 30th of May. This is the second last photo. And the upstream side, it was completely full. Next. This was the upstream side. There was a large catchment, but I could not calculate the area, but it was more than 24 lakh liters. I believe much more than 24 lakh liters that I calculated. So this happened in 4 weeks. The repair, rehabilitation, retrofitting, and filling of the water, everything in 4 weeks. And this is the second day when the check dam started overflowing, completely overflowing. It was a wonderful task view, and the entire village had come to see that their own check dam overflowing and full of water at the end of the May. That is just before the start of the monsoon. Next. So this was the opening ceremony, and all the villagers and our team also was there. And a formal opening ceremony was done with the water. If you see, the water level was at full, the water was filled right up to the top of the UCR wall. So huge amount of water was stored in the first rain. Next, now what happened was, after this, for a week we were monitoring whether there was any leakage on the downstream side or not. And the rain stopped because they were pre-monsoon showers. The monsoon was still 2 weeks away. And the villagers came up with a problem saying that the cattle had started going to that area where the water was there. And they were worried that the cattle will contaminate that water, because once the cattle starts drinking the water, the villagers refuse to drink the water. So they posted people almost the whole day to prevent the cattle from drinking that water which was available in the catchment. And they wanted a separate dedicated tank for the cattle. So Blue Cross Laboratories also came in and they saw the work done, and they sponsored a cattle drinking water tank also. So once the rain stopped, again it was very dry, and we had hardly 1 week before the real monsoon to start. And we decided to build a cattle drinking water tank in ferrocement in the village itself. So this was the first work that was done. Next. So entire sort of a PCC was done. If you see the plateau in the background, there is absolutely not a single tree available. No rains, huge rains, but no storage. Only small contours of the plateau that make the water hold. Otherwise, absolutely dry and barren. Next. So very interestingly, all the steel and the weld mesh and chicken mesh were bent, and on the railway station at Kasara, it is almost 12 kilometers away. And these jeeps, the jeep service to the village was there. The jeep service owners voluntarily helped us by transporting this steel, bent steel sections into their jeeps and bring it to the site. So this was also a social service done by the villagers themselves. So this was how the steel was taken out from the jeeps, and it was actually bent and at the railway station at one corner with the permission of the station master. This was how the steel was tied, and the vertical steel was tied. We had given small stiffeners. The weld mesh was put in. Next. And this externally, we actually put a dash coat plaster of 6 mm, and then internally we did a press and fill method, and again on both the sides we applied acrylic cementitious putty to bring the finished line and level. So this was the small team that was doing this work for the. If you see, there is a launder. I'll go back to the back slide. So there is a launder on the peripheral of the tank, and there are taps provided. So once the tank is full, the taps are opened and the launder becomes full and the taps are closed. So that the cattle can drink from the launder and not from the tank. Next, next. So here are the cattle. They already started coming there and started drinking water from the tanker. Here, of course, being 1 kilometer away from the check dam, the tanker was used. The tankers were used for now only for the cattle feed drinking water purposes and not for the people. So this was done by the Rotary Club Parleshwar and Blue Cross Laboratories. The Blue Cross sponsored this work. If you see the launder, it's a wonderful launder, and I have the photographs of a lot of cattle coming here and drinking water here. Next. So this was the inauguration ceremony. Let this photograph remain. I will give you the background of why there was some design involved in this particular entire exercise. Because once the section thickness was not more than 25 to 30 millimeters. This was possible because there was a back UCR masonry wall. Now, you will ask me that where is the design involved in this? Actually, I had myself calculated for 30 millimeters thickness and one weld mesh and two chicken meshes, the maximum crack width, the number of crack widths, the spacing of the crack widths. So it can be used for designed waterproofing as simple as that. Nobody will believe, but we could actually calculate the design crack width, the maximum design crack width, the number of cracks, and the spacing of the cracks as a design. Of course, when we actually built it, we saw that there were very few cracks. I do not know because the water was filled immediately after that, and since there was a lot of water and a lot of curing, there was no cracks seen. We could only see the cracks in this the post monsoon, and they were very fine hairline cracks which subscribed to the theory of ferro cement. The nylon fibers, of course, was the most important part. I was myself worried whether it will really give the impact and abrasion resistance, but this was done in 2017 and now it is 2021. Almost 5 years have gone, and there have been no complaints. There have been logs of wood coming and hitting the wall. There are no impact. It is not affected by impact. There is no cracking, and the water is getting filled completely. And if you look at, there were about 400 people. I think 400 people in that small hamlet maximum. So considering a consumption of 50 liters per person per day, because in villages the consumption is very small, the 50 liters per person per day, about 2000 liters of water was required every day. Now in the monsoon up to September end, the water was completely filled. So from October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, April and May, 8 months. So at 2000 liters of water per day that was being carted by bullock carts from the catchment area to the village center. So 2000 liters per day, and say about 400 people. So maybe 50-60,000 liters per day. 2000 liters per day. I'm so sorry. 400 persons and 50 liters per person per day. So 2000 liters per day. So what's 50 to 60,000 liters per month? So 16 to 8 is 480,000, or maybe more they must be using. I don't know, for festivals or whatever it is. But they have never complained of any water shortage at all, even up to May. And that is why my calculation of 24 lakh liters still stands, because they have a lot of water even in May. At the end of May, in the last week of May, they open the valves and remove the existing water that is standing and deseal the entire area, and again close the valves, and the catchment is again filled. Now this has a great design advantage. One is that we could calculate the crack widths, the number of crack widths, the spacing of the crack widths, and we almost ended up doing an uncracked section, but going slightly more in the elastoplastic zone. So very small crack widths, maybe less than 0.05, what you call grazing cracks in plaster, it's called. These are grazing cracks, very difficult to gauge, and even you need a magnifying glass, or you cannot use a vernier caliper to measure the thickness of the crack. So the cracks were very small. Secondly, it was very, very strong. We used hammers to actually hammer it out after the monsoons, but we found that nothing was a very strong sound was there. There was the backing of the UCR masonry wall also, and the proof was that even after desilting, there were lots of logs lying there. So the impact of the logs was also there, and still it was still perfect and strong. So ferrocement served its purpose of waterproofing by design, impact resistance, abrasion resistance, and the most important, a work that was done by the villagers themselves with small help and some demonstration work done by us. So a great social cause also. The village has become completely independent of water tankers. It requires water tankers only because the cattle feed water drinking tank is in the village and 1 kilometer away. Otherwise, they don't need water the year round. They have full water for their drinking and bathing and other purposes. So this is a great uh, presentation for the simple reason that I spoke with the WRD Water Resources Department engineer, and he told me that there are about 3,000 plus such small check dams across Maharashtra, maybe more. He could not tell the number, but he said, sir, more than 3,000. So you can imagine that with one small 10 lakh rupee uh, uh, work, we could completely eliminate the scarcity of water for the village, and the village was water surplus, water positive as they call nowadays. The village was water surplus, and they were self-sufficient. So in Maharashtra or the entire country, there are a large number of such damaged check dams built by the British era. They can be repaired simply using this technology, and lakhs of liters of waters can be saved, and these small villages can be made water independent and water positive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milind sir. You have done really nice and decent work and help to the society for solving the water shortage of the villagers. Congratulations and thanks to you.
Actually, it's difficult to comment on Milan sir presentation. Yeah. So in one sentence, actually, it was very nice. But one thing is just I want to know the most interesting part was the dam retrofitting. Yeah.
Yes.
So is there any actually the dam was the thickness was I think very big. Yeah. So what
Yes.
was the initial thickness of the
The
dam?
initial thickness was 0.6600 millimeters at the top and about 2 meters at the bottom.
Okay. So is there any design philosophy behind this ferro cement lining, and how you have calculated actually?
Yeah, that is actually, see, for the waterproofing purposes, the crack width is very important. So, in spite of having a UCR masonry wall behind, if the ferro cement had cracked, then the chances of water leakage would have been more through the joints of the UCR masonry. So, we did calculate. I myself did calculations to calculate the maximum crack width. We can do that with a particular configuration of weld mesh and chicken mesh. We can do the maximum crack width that is possible, and also the spacing of the crack widths and the number of crack widths also can be calculated. So we can go to that level also, though it is theoretical, but you must get an idea as to what the crack width should be.
Dam itself is very thick and it's massive, so there is a little chance of any deflection. So if there is no deformation, deflection, there is no tension in the ferro cement lining. So if there is no tension, so what actually criteria would be for your design?
See, we had just calculated the crack widths with this combination of what could be the crack width in the lining first. Secondly, the lining was also designed for abrasion and impact resistance, because the original dam had failed because of the impact of logs. So that is why I was not sure as to how much impact and abrasion resistance will be available, and that is why I used my experience of using nylon fibers in the mortar as an additive, so that nylon is known to take very strong impact and very high abrasion resistance is developed in mortars.
Have you come across the crabs? Because crab, I have heard that crab makes the holes, and that is the actually reason for leaking of water from
There
the
was no
bottom.
chance. There was no chance because on the upstream side, the cracks were very minor in nature. Plus, we had refilled the entire joints of the old UCR masonry again with polymer modified mortar. So double protection system was there in place.
Okay.
My worry was that whether again the same thing should not happen, and some logs would come and hit, and the the ferro cement also gives way, and the UCR masonry at the top again gives way, and there is a failure.
About the repairs so that we can finally compare with this. Basically, they have introduced one FRP sheet kind of material which is used for the repairs, maybe through crack injections, to wrapping it around some components like columns, screens, making confinements, so preventing from bulging, and some kind of sandwich or stay in place forms which will be rigid after installation. So all these were basically the principle that to enhance the tensile strength of the original component. And since I just compared, so parallelly our ferrocement material is also very good at in tensile. That is the enhanced property I'll get to. So similarly, as like sheets, we can use this ferrocement material for the retrofitting work specifically for huge structures. Now today we are only talking and thinking about the small structures like say weirs or bandaras, but it can also be used for say high-rise buildings, flyovers, retrofitting of those things, and damage maybe due to say corrosion of some bad quality of workmanship. So in this way also it can be easily used. About the today's presentation, I would just like to suggest some more things what we can do. Of course, the repairs for these check dams is a very nice idea, and since we have done a trial on one thing, we have to evaluate the repair methods for the old check dams of different materials. I think the repairs immediately what we did, it was a masonry PVL or how did we do it?
Masonry dams.
Dam.
Regarding the water tank, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I am not wrong, what I have seen in your presentation that you provided some reinforcing bar in a concentrated form. So would you please
Stiffeners, yes.
can we go to the slide of the water tank?
Yeah, there was vertical stiffeners I had provided in the tank.
Okay.
But,
So if the shape is circular in shape, yeah.
yes, very small stiffeners of 6 mm dia.
It is a circular shape water tank,
Correct.
and if it is circular, then we need to take care of the hook tension only.
I
So
will tell you.
if
I will tell you why I provided, because at that point of time that reinforcement was not holding together, and the local people were not able to hold the skeleton together. So I decided to put vertical stiffeners so that the entire skeleton would be holding, because I was myself the site engineer there and I was trying to get the work done from them. Stiffeners are in small tanks not required. For example, being a little academic on the side, let me tell you the example. A tank of 2.5 meter height, that is 8 feet, more than 8 feet, 2.5 meter height and 4 meter diameter, that is 12 feet diameter. So 2.5 into 4 divided by 2, that is 2.5 into 2, that is that hook tension at the bottom of the wall will be 5,000 kg per meter height. Now 5,000 kg per meter height and a 25 millimeter wall, that is 2.5 centimeter by 100 centimeters is the height. So 250 centimeters. So 5,000 divided by 250 is about 20 kg per centimeter square is the hook tension. Now this is even concrete of grade M15, M20 has a tensile strength of 17 kg per centimeter square. Now, with this thickness and proper weld mesh and 2 chicken meshes, you get a proper specific surface, and that permissible tensile strength comes to more than 30-35. So we are almost double on the higher side, and that is why Paranjpe sir is always very strong and confident about his structures not going haywire or cracking occurring or buckling occurring. So this is the basic calculation.
Actually, my question is if there is no conceal stiff member, then okay, it's only hook tension. Then we can go for analysis very easy. But if there are stiff member in between, then what would be the actually design philosophy? So because
Hook tension will govern, sir.
that part is not integrated, that monolithic same member like ferrocement. So okay, if it is not circular wall, if it is just two-dimensional wall, and if we provide the stiffener,
Then it is very dangerous. Then you have to design the wall. Yes.
Okay, so
Then it is very dangerous. These stiffeners in circular wall will not make any difference. But in rectangular walls,
stiffener following the RCC principle, or we can go.
No, you have to do it. But if you put a stiffener in a rectangular wall, then you have to be very careful because stiffener will take the load of the panel. Here being circular, hook tension is predominant, and the stiffeners are not required as such. Yes, of course, yeah. So this was only done because this skeleton was not able to stand on its own, and the local labor were not able to do it. So I decided to put a couple of stiffeners. That's all. No other reason.
Here actually skeleton actually no chance for deformation. So if it does not go, if you don't allow any deformation, there will be no movement or.
No, it's pure hook tension. And I will also tell you that if you do the analysis on any of your software, you do ANSI, you do STAD, you do it, any softwares you do, you will realize that it becomes a pinned hinge structure. So what calculation I give you, and it is one of the simplest thumb rules, and you are very close to the hook tension that you might calculate on a big computer, on a software and an analytical model. So P is the pressure at the bottom, it is 2.5 tons per meter square. The diameter of the wall is 4 meters. So P into D by 2 is 2.5 into 4 divided by 2 is 5 tons per running meter. That is 5,000 kg per running meter. You divide it by the wall thickness, that is 2.5 centimeters, and the height is 100 centimeters. 20 kg per centimeter square is the hook tension. You require 5 minutes to calculate.
Okay. And here these stiffeners are redundant, yeah?
Redundant. In a model, you might find some moment near the stiffeners, but it's of inconsequence.
Yes.
Thank you, Milind sir.
So everybody can become a designer. I am giving you the best tips, very simple tips. No need to use a computer, no need to go to anything.
It is always by first principle.
Absolutely. No, you don't even need a calculator.
So you have done very great job, and getting it done through the local labor, that is most difficult part of it, I think.
The villagers were very enthusiastic, and they actually
totally unskilled people, and you had got it done through them. That is most important, and it was very difficult task actually.
Yeah, very far off, very remote.
Very remote and totally unskilled labor, and you had get it done. That is most important thing, and you had done a great job. Not by designing, but by getting it done through those unskilled labor.
Yes, I agree with that. I realize how difficult it is to be a contractor.
Okay, thank you very much. Pawan sir, do you want to comment something?
Yeah, Milan, that was very inspiring example. I really like the way you solved the problem, and I hope one day I can somehow follow that process. Perhaps one day I'll try to make a presentation on this site on our Zoom, but I have to be mentored on how to use the computer with the Zoom.
Okay. You can hand over your presentation to Lila sir and Hangekar sir. In my case also, I'm not doing any presentation. They are doing it. So I'm very relieved. I don't know how to do it. So I'm very comfortable. They help me out.
I'll work on it, and I'm being mentored a bit. But really, you inspired me with that example.
So this was a very simple thing, but it has a great impact. It gives us the strength of ferrocement. It gives us how the cracks are occurring. It gives us the abrasion resistance, impact resistance in real time, not on theoretical calculations, in real time. And it has stood the test of time for 5 years. And the villages are completely now self-reliant as far as water is concerned. A small village which is completely cut off from the world, and it has no access. It's still 10 kilometers winding Ghat road going up to the plateau, and they have their own water now. And water is everything for them.
Have proved the qualities of ferrocement not only as watertight material, but the one which can take impact also, abrasion also, and you have made it integral with the masonry by putting nails and then bending those nails and then having full contact with the chicken mesh, weld mesh, and the masonry dam. That is very
Correct.
important.
Correct, sir.
If that is not done, a gap remains between the original structure and the ferrocement work, and the water gets stored in it and starts leaking.
That is
So that is a very important
delamination.
aspect that you have
That
covered.
is delamination occurs.
In addition, I congratulate you for finding out the crack width and explaining it to the people in so simple language.
No, I have learned it from you only, sir.
You have investigated now the property of ferrocement for impact and abrasion also in field. We are doing it in laboratory by impact test method and all that. But we have now actually seen how a wooden lock comes and impacts that dam, and that it is still standing for 5 years. So indirectly, that energy absorption capacity of ferrocement
Yes.
is investigated indirectly by you or proved by you at the site. And at such a remote place, how ferrocement is very useful and convenient, because the material can be carried overheads by the people. Chicken mesh, wet mesh, and no special material is required. Sand locally available. Cement can be carried. So that is very important aspect. And you have one additional feather you might in your hat, that you have got it done through the local people by giving some training. So this
Ah.
Yeah, no, what I wanted to say is if you trust the villagers and if you stand there only and you tell them how to do it, these peasants and villagers, they are very intelligent people. They
Yes.
can work. No skilled labor is required, no this welding, building and all that for village structures is not at all required. That should be removed from this small thing. Otherwise, people get afraid of it. Where will bring this welding machine? Where will bring this skilled laborers? Where will bring this all these things? That is what he has done. It. He also, I know that work, and he has done a good job. Good means best job. Similar job has to be done by everyone in ferrocement society.
No, because in one stroke, sir, you get more than 20-30 lakh liters of water for the entire year for a village.
If that Kasara area he had gone, all villages are very remote from any highway or anything. They are very remote villages, particularly the area where he had gone. It's very difficult to go even for we people from Mumbai. Even for Nashik people also it's difficult to reach over there. But
Correct,
you
correct.
can get work done from villagers. That is now proved.
Now, I thank you everybody for their inputs and comments, and also thankful to Milind sir for giving a nice presentation about the work he has done in the another role, just like us as a contractor, and wonderful job he has done. And he has got the work done through the unskilled laborers who know nothing about the civil work, and that is the most important part of it. Very valuable inputs are there, and I think by the time they might have learned about the ferrocement and might be using for their own homes.
Yes, let's hope.
We hope so, and thank you everybody for attending and giving their valuable comments.